Hey guys, back with another video. This time I'm going to talk about smartphones compared to a dedicated camera per se, and why one is better than the other, or one is more suited for the other. And here on the table I have a bunch of different tools here to illustrate. So I liken a smartphone, like your cell phone. It does a lot of things. It makes phone calls, keeps your daily calendar, you can check emails, browse the web, and has a camera. So in that sense, I kind of liken it to a multi-tool here. I have not a Swiss Army knife, but a Leatherman Juice multi-tool, which has scissors, pliers, wire cutter, a knife, screwdriver, what have you. And it's convenient. You have all that in a small package, fits in your pocket. It doesn't do one thing well, but it does a lot of things. Whereas here I'd have to carry a whole pocket full of tools. I'd need a pocket knife, wire cutter, needle nose pliers, a couple of screwdrivers, both slotted in Phillips, and a pair of scissors to achieve what this guy can do. However, these individual tools will do the job better because it's designed for a single purpose. But disadvantage, you'd have to carry the whole thing with you if you want all those. Whereas a multi-tool, you have it all in one svelte package, but it'll do the job, but maybe not do it the same. That's the same analogy I want to use with the smartphone here. They have cameras on here. They've come a long way in terms of sensor technology and their optics and the image processing engine. But in my opinion, they're not quite there compared to a dedicated point and shoot. Now, over the years, entry-level point and shoot camera sales have dropped off big time because of the smartphone. And I guess I don't blame them. Who wants to carry, a entry-level pocket camera when they have a smartphone on you? And that's the other advantage. As a smartphone, you'll always have it on you, and that'll increase your chances of getting pictures, or at least taking pictures. But guys, I want to say the dedicated cameras are not dead yet. Sure, the entry-level ones that are for like $150, yeah, they're all right. They do rival the quality of a smartphone because the sensors are they're still a little bit bigger than a smartphone. But for the convenience factor, the bang for the buck, it's not quite there. You'd have to move up a little bit higher to at least, in my opinion, at least the $300 or $400 camera to surpass the convenience factor of a smartphone. And then, of course, you have digital SLRs. The one I'm shooting with now, the Nikon D5500, best bang for your buck. It's actually cheaper than this little pocket camera here, the Sony RX100 Mark IV. But anyway, so yeah, there are a couple advantages and disadvantages of smartphones. In my opinion, there are three big things that go against a smartphone for photography. One, it's the general form factor and handling. It's not as intuitive as a dedicated camera. So when you're trying to take a picture, it's like taking a picture with a brick. You're holding it like this, or hitting the shutter button. It's not, you're holding a wafer. It's not as intuitive in terms of ergonomics. Whereas a dedicated camera, well, this is not much better because it's a square, but at least you have a shutter button here proper. So when you click the shutter, it goes off like so, and then you have the other options there for camera handling. The other big ding against a smartphone, it's the inability to optically zoom in. Sure, they have some cameras that I'm thinking of the Nokia series, that actually in the back there's a big lens that pops out, so it's kind of like basically a point and shoot camera with the cell phone connected, but the ability to physically zoom in. And there are shots you will not be able to get with a smartphone, and I'll talk about that as the title implies. So with a smartphone, you won't be able to zoom in, so you won't be able to get a picture of like the birds or your kid's soccer game unless you're sitting really in the front row. Even then, he or she'll be like a tiny little figure running across the screen. Whereas these cameras, a lot of these point and shoots even have a variable zoom. They're not a fixed focal length such as most cell phone cameras. These will have a variable focal length, so you can at least zoom in a little bit. Now, of course, if you move up to digital SLR or DSLR, you can put different types of lenses that'll even let you zoom in even more. Another disadvantage of the smartphone cameras, it's poor low light performance, and that's generally due to the tiny sensor they use inside these cameras. You see the lenses, it's not very big. They have tiny, maybe like smaller than a pinky nail size sensor, and because of that, its low light gathering capability suffers. And why does that matter, you think? Well, in general, and under good lighting or outdoors in the daytime, these will do okay in terms of light gathering its capability. It's not bad. But as soon as you get into a dim, like if you're trying to take a picture of your friends in a dimly lit bar or nightclub, you notice it's really like grainy and pixelated. Or if you turn a flash on it, quote unquote flash, it's an LED light, they have like a nasty looking green cast or just that red eye look. So yeah, because of the tiny sensor in these cameras, they're getting bigger and better, but they're still nowhere near as quality or size of a dedicated point and shoot or even a DSLR, of course. So because of the smaller sensor, your low noise capability suffers big time. So you're not going to be able to get shots that these cameras will, just because of the sensor. And things that come to mind is, let's say if you want like night photography in terms of capturing the night sky, like if you want like the starscape or even like star streaks, you don't have those options as well as you would on this camera or this camera. And going back to the light sensitivity, indoor sports. So if you're taking a picture of let's say your kid's basketball game, whatever, and if it's not well lit, you're going to get a lot of streaking. You're not going to be able to control the time and amount of light as you can on these cameras. There are third-party apps that will allow you to, control quote-unquote shutter and aperture. They're electronic. It's not a mechanical shutter, but yeah, it'll allow you to control some of that, but not to the point that a dedicated camera proper can do. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Things going for the smartphone, number one is you're going to always have it on you because it is your phone. It is our main communicator / link to the outside world. So the fact that you're going to have it on you, just like the multi-tool here, you're not going to carry all these tools here in case you might need it someday, but you're more likely to carry like a Swiss Army knife or a Leatherman because it's so convenient. I like to carry one at least. Same thing with the phone. You're going to have it always on you just because you're going to have access to social media and telephone network, basically. And that's the other thing. It's always connected to the internet. So because it has connection, as long as you have cell signal, taking a photo and uploading it instantly up to your Facebook or social media is a lot easier and painless than it is trying to do it with these phones. I mean, these cameras. You can do it with these cameras. You take the picture, then you got to tether your phone and zip the image to your phone, then you can do it. So it's not a big deal, but these will always be on. It's one less thing to worry about. Although, I want to let you know, guys, a lot of those pictures, like on Instagram, like the ones that have like the high views, they're not taken with smartphones. It's a little dirty secret. They're probably taken with the DSLR. Because you notice like some of the perspectives they get are like some of the low light shots, and then they like Photoshop the heck out of them. They'll bump the contrast or they'll bump the color saturation way up. I think when Instagram first started out, people snapped it with the built-in camera phone, and that was the intent. But a lot of the ones, like a lot of your popular Instagram accounts, there are a lot of commercial accounts I'm noticing too. Or what they'll do is they'll create an account and they'll like steal other people's pictures and say, hey, look at these pictures, it was shot by so-and-so. Even though they may give them credit, but, Anyway, they're taken with DSLRs or like a high-end point and shoot. They're not taken with smartphones. But yeah, the convenience of having a social media connectivity always on is nice. And of course, these do video, and so do these. So if you want to send a quick clip of your dog chasing its tail or something, or your cat climbing up the drapes, popular for that. You can do it with this too, just a little bit clumsier. The other thing is the smartphones, like I was mentioning before, they take decent pictures in good light, and they will rival those taken with point and shoots in good light. Although if you start blowing it up, if you try to print a photo from a smartphone, that's when you're going to start seeing the quality differences from a proper camera versus a smartphone, just because of the pixel pitch and the image quality starts to break down. So if you try to do 16 by 20 print from a smartphone image, and then you do it from like a high-end point and shoot or digital SLR, that's when you're going to definitely see the difference. But most people really don't do that. So of course, advantage of a dedicated camera is general ergonomics and handling. It's actually designed to take pictures, so you got a nice grip. You got the shutter button. That's the biggest thing, shutter button and focusing and what have you. Whereas on this guy here, you're using the soft button, or I guess you can program one of the up-down volume buttons as your shutter release. But it's in terms of handling, it's not going to be as good as a dedicated camera per se. And of course, you have the ability to zoom in, which this doesn't. You can do digital zoom by pinching, but guys, that's not the same. What that's doing is it's taking the image, and you're literally like magnifying inside, within that sensor. So you're gonna start seeing pixelation. Whereas these even a dedicated point and shoot with a variable focal length will allow you to zoom in and out. And of course, a digital SLR, you can change lenses and do some super zooming in that sense. Of course, I want to say the sensors are bigger on these, so you're going to get much better low light. And there are pictures you can take with, especially a digital SLR, that you'll never be able to take with a smartphone, such as, low light star field photography images, or that, tiny finch from, 100, 200 yards away. You may not feel the full frame, but you'll get it pretty close. Whereas a smartphone, because of its fixed focal length, so most smartphones, I think, would have an equivalent of a 28 to 35 millimeter field of view. So imagine if you just have a camera stuck at that. And that's not a bad thing always. I mean, it does good for general landscape, or if you want to get a scene in, or if you want to turn the camera back to you and get a selfie, which is designed for pretty much. It's fine, but in terms of other focal lengths, you're not going to be able to. There are third-party companies that make attachments I've seen that you can put onto the back of your lens, and it kind of piggybacks it. It works in a pinch, but if you're going to go that route, you might as well go for a dedicated high-end point and shoot, or even a digital SLR. So yeah, there you go, guys. I mean, like I said, the best camera, you've heard it mentioned 1,000 times. Best camera is the one you have on you, and that is true. If you're more likely to have this on you than have this on you. Same thing with the multi-tool analogy. Multi-tool, dedicated tool. Multi-tool, dedicated tools. So if you're going out for a photo shoot per se, you're probably gonna bring your camera. Like I said, if you're gonna go out to repair something or do some work, you're gonna bring your tools here. But you're probably more likely to have your multi-tool on you for that last minute quick tightening or fixing something. Same thing with a smartphone. If you want a quick snap photo or whatever of your vacation photo, or what have you, you'll have the phone with you. So if you want to take pictures of your souffle that you're eating seaside in Oahu or what have you, to brag, share with your friends, you're probably more likely going to reach for your smartphone than you are a digital camera, unless you're a photo geek and ready for that or what have you. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.